people at home, don't you dare be sour. Clap for Hammer the Point and feel the power. Yes. Yes, 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 it's Hammer the Point, the best YouTube show about West Ham United. Yeah, that's right. And it features Ray and friends. You got to tune in right now. Everything related to West Ham United is right here on Hammer the Point.
Good morning. Good afternoon. This is take two. And as Tim always says, some of the best things happen off air. But we're going to get into that right now. Merry Christmas, everyone. It's November, I know, but Christmas is upon us. Good morning. Hello, Fo, Neil, Wally, Vernon. Love to see you in the vein. Tonight, we have got a special guest. He's been moonlighting for ages. We haven't seen him. Tim, how the devil are you?
Hey, everybody. What's going on? I missed you all, deeply so. So I begged Ray to come on tonight, and he almost let me not come on because he said that Charlie was upset that I hadn't been on giving him shit. So anyway, I'm here. Good to see you all.
And we nearly didn't go live anyway.
That was amazing.
Charlie boy, you've got your microphone on. How are you? Your skinny version. You okay?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm good. I love that intro so much. Let's watch it again. Come on. Let's go again. Come on, round three. Let's go. No, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. We've also got John. How you doing? Is this the first time you've been on it, John?
This show, yeah. I've been on I think my fifth time on American Hammers.
Yeah.
I'm always called off the bench, and so Tim always messages me and go, "Can you come on?" I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So
yeah, no, I appreciate it, John. I do.
Fantastic. And then we got the super rock star David in the house. How you doing, David?
All right.
Another one of my go-tos that I have on my speed dial.
I got the call an hour ago.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You know what though? I'll give you. You guys are the only two I asked, so.
Right.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Who did you ask?
And there's no one no one can prove that otherwise. So you just say it, then no one else can.
You're just better. I didn't ask you. I didn't even know you were going to be on. To be honest with you,
but, Ray asked me yesterday, so I don't need to.
Well, Charlie's that busy. I have to give him 24 hours now. So,
but yeah, I've got a PS5 now. I've got nothing else. You know what I mean? Everything else is cancelled for further notice. 2020 sorted. It is what it is.
Tim, do you want to tell everyone where you've been? What you've been up to? Or is it top secret?
No, I started a company called Subsoil Films. So I've been busy doing horror movie stuff, trying to get some films off the ground. And obviously, if you follow or are friends with me on Facebook or social media, you've seen me talk about it nonstop. So you'd already know. Yeah, check it out, subsoilfilms.com.
There we go. Cheeky little plug. Don't forget, go to any of our social media pages or even go to a shop.
Listen. Yes, we have by the way, people, sorry, Ray, but yeah, the shop shop's still there, just so you guys know. And we actually have added a few new things. So go check it out. See if you might want something. We also have a Redbubble page for the UK people. But you can also get that from our website, which is listed below. Thanks, Ray. Yeah, we still have stuff for sale. As a matter of fact, somebody bought a pair of socks that say Forever Blowing Bubbles from our UK shop. I appreciate that. That's the last thing that was sold. The only thing that was sold in the last 3 months. But we do have less of the cool stuff. So check it out. Like this, American Hammers Radio. Ooh. Oh, and there's American Hammers Radio. They're doing the podcasts again. They've done like 3 or 4 since the season kicked back off. So check them out. The dudes from Fresno. They're really good. Anyway, sorry.
Very good. Still waiting for the Hammer the Point merchandise to arrive. We're designing it. I'm sure Tim's designing it as we speak.
Yes, it's Alex. Alex is our shop guy. Yes, he's on it.
That is a massive lie, but don't worry about it. We'll move on swiftly. Right, so another fantastic win against Sheffield United. We're doing the business at the moment. But Tim, what did you think of the game? What was your views?
I missed the first 15 minutes because Jim Stebbins did not post a link in the Discord on time. So shame on you. But I did get to see it, and I thought it was kind of interesting. So it's one of those things where, we play the worst team in the friggin' league, and then we play well. But at the same time, were we really playing well, or was it just that they're the worst team in the fucking league and we just barely beat them? Like, that doesn't impress me that much, that we only beat them 1-0. I guess you could also say, well, Sheffield was playing their asses off trying to get their first friggin' win or whatever, or their first win. And we did our best to get a goal against them. There were a few things I did like about our performance overall. A clean sheet's always nice, no matter who we play. And a clean sheet for Fabianski, wow. Like that, those are hard to come by. So I appreciate that. Our defense did very well. We will get into the substitution thing later, so I won't talk too much about that, but that has bothered me as well, Raymond.
Okay, cool. But we're grinding out results, Tim, at the moment. Are you not enjoying them grinding out?
Of course. I'll take the points, but I don't have to be happy with the performance.
Yeah. I do agree with you on some points. Which are going. Charlie, how was your watch along?
Yeah, it was good. It's always fun with Tom, to be honest. We just chat nonsense for 90 minutes, and then occasionally something happens and we go, oh, and then we go back to the nonsense. So it's fine. I agree. I mean, I agree totally with what Tim said, to be honest. Like it's another example of a game where I wasn't sort of super enamored by the performance, but we're getting the results. So, we're getting the results. I think I still am concerned about us going up against teams who sit deep in general. I just don't feel like we're quite there yet with that. But, I mean, what a goal from Haller. It's a banger. Like, we're moving forward in a positive direction. And as long as we're beating the teams we should be beating, which is what this was, then I'm all good, because there's the way the Premier League is at the moment, there's less teams sitting deep that there are at Sheffield United than there usually are, because most people are coming, like even Fulham are coming out like trying to play possession-based football. I don't know why, it's just the thing that's happening. So as long as we can get these results, which we need, then I'm happy for us going forward, and I'm a lot less scared league-wise for the end of the season than I was.
Yeah.
John, in Vegas, sunny old Vegas, how was it for you?
Well, if you haven't won all season, and in years gone by, in the 40 years I've been a West Ham supporter, if you haven't won all season, everyone's circling West Ham on the fixture list and go, oh, that's our first 3 points of the season. You are guaranteed. If you've got a striker that hasn't scored for games upon games, oh, there's our West Ham charity case. Not this season. And if you get the same 3 points, whether you played fantastically, good, shit, crap, everything in between, you still get the same 3 points for a win. So if you want artistic impression, watch figure skating. We won. End of story. And we grafted it out. Away victory. It's all good. Move on to the next game.
David, what's your views?
It wasn't very pretty to watch. But I will take a win and a clean sheet on the road any day. If you look at things in the big scheme of things, we're 6 points off the top of the table. That's our fourth clean sheet of the year so far, which is quite good. I mean, it's not pretty to watch, but I'll take ugly and good all day.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you guys. And it's really weird because I'm in a situation myself where I'm liking the results. I'm liking the start-up play. I'm just not like the game management personally. Some of the game management in there is very questionable. We'll get onto that a bit later on. But as for the game against Sheffield United, I was worried on some of the passing. They were clean through near the end. They hit the crossbar. Potentially should have finished that a lot better. If it was a better team we were playing against, they would have finished it. No point. So I was kind of worried about some of the major issues. But we're grinding out. It's hard to criticise a team that's grinding out all these wins because you're not going to play fantastic all season, and I'm aware of that. But I don't want to be one of these teams that plays really well for the first half of the season, and then the second half of the season we start dropping off. We've done that. We lost out on Champions League positions in the past. We've lost out on Europe positions before us, and that's what we've done initially. But when we're down at the bottom, we normally strive and work together and get out of it just somehow. So it's kind of hard, and I hope Moyes has got it in his locker to have the second half of the season ready. And maybe that is a reason why he's holding back on Benrahma, because he doesn't want to tell the Premier League too much about him just yet. I don't know. Or maybe it's just not his signing.
Maybe that's why he's holding off on substitutions as well, so he keeps his players healthy, his bench healthy.
Right. I'm going to go on a rant about this, but his substitutions is reverted backwards, right? I don't care about the results. And this is what I said about his game management. He started off the season with his game plan and his substitutions. He was dithering a Dave again. He was just dithering about. He weren't putting on his until the 90th or the 80th minute, late in the game when they weren't really going to do much. Again, he turned a corner and he brought some of the Lanzinis and that on a bit earlier. I'm really impressed and really liked it. But now he's reverted back. We had one substitution, which is Lanzini, and then Mark Noble on the 89th minute, whatever it was. To me, you could see that Fornals and Bowen were knackered. They were tired. I don't understand why, because they've been on international duty. And I'm a Bowen fan. Bowen should have come off in the 70th minute, in my opinion, because he's blown out of his ass. He was being a bit greedy. He wasn't playing his right gameplay. So he should have been taken off on the 70th minute. And we should have replaced him with Lanzini, personally, my choice. And then replaced Fornals maybe 5-10 minutes later on the 78th minute with Lanzini. Or make both changes at the same time. That's what I would like to see, because I think them two would work. Lanzini and Benrahma would work better with Haller, because they get closer to Haller, where Fornals and Bowen start further back and they do all the passes, and that's why you need Antonio up front to run about it. I don't know. Still a bit of a rant. Tim, what did you think of that? What do you think of these substitutions? Tim's doing the Undertaker right now. Hold on 1 second. Let's unmute Tim. There we go.
There we go.
Tim?
Nothing surprises me with him at all anymore. Or it never has, really. He's so fucking predictable. And he's not going to change his ways. But at the same time, again, at the end of the day, it works. Maybe he is holding off on substitutions to save legs and save keep these players healthy for what you're talking about, because we don't know. Listen, Antonio's already injured. Fredericks is injured. And what's the other thing? Basically, if Bowen goes down, or if Fornals goes down, well, we got healthy people on the bench, man. I mean, if Balbuena hurts, we got Diop coming back up. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's what he's thinking. But again, I'm not defending him. I mean, he is what he is, and he's so vanilla. It is ridiculous. Did that make any sense? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But what else is new?
Roughly. I understood. Whether everyone else did is another question. I got it. That's fine.
Make it shit up. Here we go.
What do you think of it? Like, our next game is in 8 days. So,
yeah, I can't understand it personally. I think if him keeping the same 11 makes some sense, at least. I disagree with it, but I at least understand the reasoning for it, and I used to understand where he goes with it, right? You have the same people, they're working in the same formation constantly, the same tactics, same instructions, they're getting better and better and better at it. You keep that 11, right? I understand that. Even if I disagree with it, I do understand it. Him not introducing people is just a bit weird to me, because as much as you can train to be in a position, you're never you could do 1,000 hours on a training pitch. None of it counts for now unless you're doing it on the actual pitch as well. Like one game counts for however many hours on a training pitch, right? So if you're going to stick to this tactics, which you are, and that's fair enough. I disagree with him, but that's fair enough. I understand his reasoning. Surely you should be introducing players who, like Tim said, let's say Bowen gets injured, right? Surely you want the guy who's going to be in his position to be fit, ready, knowing exactly what he has to do, all the formation, all the tactics, everything ready. And you get that by giving him the game time, getting him up to speed, getting him more used to stuff. You don't want a guy coming in cold and then doing something different, because the thing is about our system at the moment is it's so... the players on the pitch know exactly what they're doing. They're all working, and they all work because of very specific instructions and very specific... Like Fornals is there because he works harder than the other options, right? You want the guy to come in to know exactly what he's doing. Otherwise, the rest of that team can fall apart, because we know it's the Premier League football, right? All you need is one chink in the armor, and that's it. You're going to get got. And so against the Sheffield United, you might not get got, but against literally any other team in the league, you probably will. So I don't really understand it. Like, A, introducing people so late is basically pointless, but B, introducing Noble in the 90th minute is like, all right, okay, sure. I mean, you're securing the victory, but at the same time, bro, what are you doing? like help yourself for the future. I understand you're thinking about the now, and that's all. He's taking it one game at a time, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I think it's a bit short-sighted, personally.
Yeah, John, I just want to say, like, bringing on Barama and bringing on Lanzini, will giving different options and different questions to the defence and the midfield of Sheffield United. Does that not have a factor, and shouldn't Moyes take that in consideration? What do you think about the substitutions?
I mean, I kind of like, when Sam Allardyce was manager, he just split the season up into 4 different parts. And right now, if Moyes is probably doing the same thing, so we're in the sort of the heavy leg grafting area of the season where, we're trying to buy insurance for the end of the season. We're not going to win the league. We're not going to we are going to fade away. It's like basically what the points we picked up against City and everyone else is insurance for later on, which is all good. This is fantastic. But I think if you've got a great engine like Bowen has, and Fornals, keep that engine going. And I don't really care if he brings on don't bring on Barami and stuff like that. The guy's unproven in the Premier League. He came from Brentford, and we were the only team in for him. Call me old-fashioned. He can't be that good. It's not as if we bought Diego Maradona. So, or it's not Carlos Tevez or someone like Lanzini. Basically, has one good shot in 3 years. He owes West Ham nothing for that goal. So I don't care if we don't bring Lanzini on, because every time we make a substitution, we go down in 25% from our starting 11. So I would rather keep the best 11 out there for as long as humanly possible.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that, John. Don't know if I agree with that. But that's part of the show. It's your point. David, what do you reckon?
There's a phrase that I learned when I moved to Texas. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's working and it's working well, leave it alone. When we started this season, right, with the transfer window we had, with the fixture list that we had, I was shitting bricks. I was absolutely shitting bricks. I thought we were going to be sitting on 2 or 3 points at this point of the season, but we're not. Moyes has brought a discipline to the team. There's a philosophy that's running through the team. They've got a style of play, and they're keeping to it. If we stick to it, have faith in the Moyesiah, we will be all right. We're 6 points off the top of the league. When Tottenham fucked it up.
But this is a question for you, David and John. Do you feel like the game management of Moyes is not 100%? It's not like there yet, because we start off really well, but we kind of brought on the Sheffield United attack near the end of it, and there wasn't nothing. There was no change in formation. There was no change in the script. It was all the same, and they were attacking us. And there was a couple of opportunities where they could have scored.
Not great.
That's
West Ham, like from the last 40 years. We go 1-0 up, At 1-0 up, we're always going to be hanging on. It's been the same story for 40 odd years. And my granddad would tell you it was the same story for the 60 prior to that. So it's all the same story. But on the flip side of it, I always say we do not have Manchester City's bench. We don't have Chelsea's bench. We don't have Liverpool's bench. If we've got the opportunity to keep our fittest 11 players out there, which are better than Sheffield United, to protect the 3 points, we keep them out there. To me, the longer they keep the best 11 out there, Moyes is managing the game just perfectly. Because okay, then his options are Lanzini, Noble, the dude from Brentford, and whoever else is on the bench, or the starting 11. The start is we have no real strength in depth. I don't care what anyone says. Keep that 11 out there.
Surely, then if you go by that, and I don't disagree with you. To be fair to you, I genuinely don't. I think like the one thing I've been proven wrong on this season is the fact that like it's working. So just stop. Yeah. It's working, like sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But surely then you would make substitutions to protect those people. When it comes to the 70th minute and you're winning or whatever, surely you then go, right, let's take off our key players, make sure they're fit for the next game, make sure the next game we can start with this again and go again, and then just give some of the other people minutes to get happy or whatever. But even if you don't think about those, surely you then look at those people on the bench, people on the pitch, and you go, right, let's protect those people because they're the ones who are those are the ones who are doing the business right now. So let's take them off.
That's fine if the game's 70 minutes long. The game's 90 minutes, not 70 minutes long.
Sure.
Maybe.
With our injury record, I don't know if it is, again, he's playing it one game at a time.
Yeah,
is what he's doing, and by playing and that, knowing our injury history, that should bite him in the ass. No, I mean he's just fucking lucky, really, right? Because dude, if we lose dude, we don't just lose one, we lose like two. You know what I'm saying? We would lose like Fornals and Bowen at the same time, or Fornals and Masuaku. And who's going to back up Masuaku? You know what I mean? Like, he's our best player at that position, and we don't have a backup. I mean, that's not good. So I don't know. I'm scared, man. But at the same time, look, it's working. Let's just ride the wave.
Well, that's unfortunately that is a problem Moyes and whoever manages West Ham has to deal with. That if Cresswell goes down, bring Diop. Now I'm like, I don't bring Diop on for Christ's sake, because Balbuena and Obona have been solid for 5-6 games now. But now it's like Cresswell's there. Cresswell loves an injury. Antonio loves an injury. There's nothing you can do about that. However, we've got our record signing as a backup for Antonio, who everyone wanted to sell to Crystal Palace 2 years ago. So I personally think it's a problem Moyes has, because he's West Ham manager and Sullivan is his boss, that he has to keep his best players out for 90 minutes.
That's a good
to protect the 3 points.
That's a good way to segue to my point, John. Maybe, just food for thought, maybe Moyes is trying to get us to the January transfer window in a really good league position so he can tap Sully up for a few quid.
Yeah.
I would say if we're in a good league position, we're 10 times less likely to spend money than if we're in a bad league position. I think if he wants to spend money, then we need to be near that relegation zone, because that's the only way they've ever spent money in their entire life.
A few quid, you mean like 7 quid? Like,
yeah.
7 quid of Will Sorthouse's best, yeah.
Yeah, £7.50 if he's lucky.
No, you're right. I mean, that's the way it should be, David, but yeah. Mm.
We're more likely to get Anderson back. That's probably a January transfer.
As good as a new sign in that.
Do we have any other loans?
Sorry?
Do we have any other loans out?
Winston Reid.
Yeah.
He's doing well at Kansas City. He's doing very well there.
Won't he be back around January? Because isn't that when the American League finishes anyway?
Yeah, if he doesn't get sold on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 7 quid, yeah.
There you go. That's where it comes from. Figure it out.
Is it the American League a real league, or is it like the champion conference?
I like it. I like the MLS.
I
won't have anyone say bad about that.
They don't like to play when it's cold over here. Don't want
Morecambe would beat him.
better.
Morecambe would win league. Carlisle would win league in MLS.
There's also been a lot of chat about Haller's body language, behaviour. He's been called out a couple of times. And just on John's point, I would actually sell Antonio in January. Just saying, just sell him in January. My personal thing.
Yeah.
Tim, what do you reckon? What do you think of Haller's body language?
Whose body language?
Haller's.
Oh, I don't care. I mean, people were talking about Felipe Anderson's body language. Like they both have the same type of monotone face. Sometimes they'll put a scowl and act all disinterested or tough or whatever. But again, it doesn't bother me. If he fucking scores goals, he scores goals, and he can't score goals if he doesn't play, and if you don't give him service, and when he gets service, he at least makes attempts. He's missed a couple, but he's also scored a couple. And I like the guy. I think he's a talented footballer, and I would love to keep him. And I wish we still had Anderson in this mix because, again, talented footballer, just not played correctly. Give him more time. I think that Moyes would have been able to use both of them the right way. But, Moyes is a fucking snail, and he needs a lot of time to get to where he needs to go.
Charlie, what was you in the chat room?
I just don't care. Like he's our best. He's one of the best players we have. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares if he looks like he's skulking around? Like realistically, like I think everyone who's read into that hasn't ever and this isn't me having a dig, but just doesn't watch Eintracht Frankfurt, for example, because why would you, right? I do because I'm a weirdo, right? But he's been like that his entire life. It's just the way he is, It's like saying someone doesn't have a sense of humor because they've got a dry sense of humor. It's like they do have it. You're just not seeing. It's just not what you're used to seeing. They're not Lee Evans. They just happen to say something in a slightly different way, right? I think in reality, he has always been like that. Even when Eintracht Frankfurt were at their best, and he had a 35 goal contribution season, and he was absolutely banging it. He was still the exact same way he was. It's just him as a person. I think he is the current example of we collectively as a fan base have decided we don't like someone, therefore everything they do is wrong. And I think that's a bit wild. You look at it, he scored like that game, right? For example, when we did the watch along, literally from minute one, he did anything. The chat room was going wild at him. And I'm just like, what is this? Why are we doing this? Like Bowen plays crap for 70 minutes. No one says anything, but Haller does one thing in the first minute where he doesn't run just as much as you think he should. And then all of a sudden he's the devil incarnate. It's like, fam, let's talk. Let's be honest about it. And those people had to stop talking when he absolutely put it in the top corner. And even then it's like, oh, he's not celebrating enough. Bro, what are we talking about? He's just put the ball in the top corner.
It was actually a deflection, so
to be fair, the goalkeeper got a hand to it, just couldn't stop it because it was so good. I just mean it's just a bit wild to me. I feel like it's one of these non-points that we're only having this conversation because the fan base has decided that we don't like him. I think, and if you don't like him, that's fair enough. I think you can have a conversation about his style of play, for example, and suitability under Moyes. Certainly, I don't think he suits David Moyes' system. I never have, but. You can't talk about his commitment as a football player or anything else like that. It's just a madness to me personally.
Yeah.
I think what do you think when I'm having intercourse?
Sorry, Dave?
I said I get the same criticisms when I'm having intercourse.
What's intercourse?
Not passionate enough.
Hey, come here. Can you get Daddy some ice and a Diet Coke?
Well, this is what happens with the show. The neighbours are not having sex tonight, so that's fine. Can't have anything upstairs. It's good. Hey, come here. Dave, what did you think of Haller? Apart from his sex life?
I personally, if you look back at the old videos of him at Frankfurt and stuff, it's the same thing. Okay, he's just trying to keep this sort of super cool, I'm not phased exterior. I don't give a shit how he celebrates. If he's doing his job and banging them in, I'm okay with it. I would like to see him run a bit more because he is a bit languid and a bit sort of slow when he's off the ball. his pressing is not the best. But on the whole, like when he receives the ball in a good position, he's generally going to do good things with it. He's very much an opportunist, which is what I mean. That's the type of player he is. As long as we give him the opportunities, he's going to bang them in for us, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it's got a lovely finish on him. John, what do you reckon?
I think he's kind of like, when Ian Wright used to score a tap in from like 3 inches out and go absolutely mental, like West Ham had won the World Cup. I kind of like the whole celebration thing. I mean, Dean Ashton never used to smile when he scored. But Dean Ashton was like, I love Dean Ashton. I mean, Nicholas Anelka, when he used to play for Arsenal, never smiled either. And I think it's, I don't know, the whole celebration thing is kind of like a bit like the kneeling down before kickoff. I think it's sometimes a very empty gesture. And like my son would like to say that. Come say hello. Come say hello.
Come say hello.
This is Harrison.
Hey, Harrison.
Say hello.
Hi.
Hello, mate.
You say West Ham? Come on, you irons.
I can't even say that.
He's had his mate round all day to play and he's tired. Thank you for bringing Daddy's eyes up. I've been a bit. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Close the door for Daddy. Close the door for Daddy. Good boy. Harry, close the door. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, sorry about it. Yeah, I think he's. I mean, I do think it's kind of an empty gesture, but I also, he was going crazy when he scored for the Ivory Coast. So
Yeah.
I was a bit like, hang on a minute, that's the fastest I've ever seen him run when he ran up to the bench. So I don't know what to make of it. I mean, he's obviously got to be pissed off at his time at West Ham. It's obviously not. It was, he's moving to London to the Premier League and he was going to be the number one striker. Then we fired the manager that bought him. And then, Moyes comes in. So, and Moyes likes a grafter. I mean, Moyes would have loved Ian Dowie, someone who probably is that crap, but just would run for 99 minutes and not stop, And I think it's, I don't know. I think it's important that he actually shows willing, but if I'd score for West Ham, I'd be thrilled. Like, even if I do my job to the best of my ability, I'm still happy at the end of the day. I still make a smile on my face, even though I'm paid to do so. So I don't get it why he scored, and he scored a pretty good goal. And, just be happy about it, for God's sake. I mean, I don't know. I just think you should be happy about it.
So what are people saying then? What did I miss? Are people saying that it's just him showing that he wants out? What's the fucking problem with his, mannerisms?
Well, they're saying that
People
again, he's cheering, he's running, and he's supporting. But when he scores for West Ham, he's just like, what else were they saying on your chat, Charlie?
Yeah, the same thing. It was right after they said he couldn't score, and then he scored. So then he started talking about his celebration.
Yeah.
2 equals 4. But yeah, it's that thing. It's that thing where it's like he doesn't. It's. I think it's just an evolution of like. See what David said about his running, for example. I think is a legitimate criticism of him. Now, I disagree with David, but I think that's a legitimate criticism. You can look at him and say maybe you should run more, you should do this more, you should do that more. But I think it's an evolution of that. It's like he scored. Oh, he scored, so we can't say that anymore. Okay, we'll talk about his body language, because there has been a thing about his body language for a little while in general. And I think it's just a step further from what David said about his running, for example. It's like he doesn't try. Well, he doesn't really look like he cares. Well, he doesn't care. Well, he wants to leave West Ham. As opposed to just discussing.
But Mike Tyson would knock someone out, and Mike Tyson would look angry that he'd knocked him out. He wouldn't be smiling like boxers go right up on the ropes and all the rest of it. Not Tyson would try to kill someone, and then they'd be out and like spark out on the canvas, and he'd be literally just like waiting to be interviewed to rant, and he'd look fearsome. He'd look more angry after the fight than during the fight. So it's quite like Haller looks like angry that he's scored. It's kind of strange, but I don't know. It might just be his way. I mean, I can't imagine him being popular in the dressing room with that body language, but I don't know. Yeah. Perhaps it's just a job to him. Who knows?
Well, I think Moyes did say that in the changing room, he was smiling. He was getting it on with the guys in the locker room. So maybe behind the scenes, he's a little bit more excited, a bit more happier than David is during his sex life. Well, you're trying not to say something there, Dave. Come on,
Happy on the inside.
happy on. Dead man walking on the outside. There we go.
That's it.
Well, we got Aston Villa on Monday, I believe. Monday Night Football. We got. What do you reckon? What's your predictions?
That's 2-1 Villa.
And do you reckon he's going to go with the same team? Do you reckon there's going to be any changes?
Unless there's an injury we don't know about, or unless there is an injury I don't know about. I think it would be the same team. I think it would be the same everything, or if someone's healthy to come back by then. I don't know. But my point is that we, I just don't, how do I put it? When we play well for a couple of games in a row, we usually throw up a stinker, a dud. And I think this would be the dud. And it's not going to be, the dud wouldn't be against a City or a Liverpool or a Leicester. It would be against the Villa. I mean, I would just like, again, we struggled to defeat Sheffield, or regardless of where it was. I mean, there's no fans there, so it doesn't matter where we play. But the point is, we struggled to beat them. And so Villa probably be a little bit more difficult than fucking Sheffield, So I say 2-1 because, again, what's his name? Fabianski can't keep a clean sheet that many times in a row. So.
And just for me, how many substitutions is he going to do?
1.5. He'll have someone in line as time runs out, or that whistle blows. He'll have someone waiting to get subbed on as the whistle blows. So I'll say 1.5.
Well, I don't count that one in the night. 80th. Charlie, what do you reckon against Villa? And how many subs?
Subs is fun. Subs are fun. On our watch along, we do sub bingo, where we have to try and guess what minute he'll make his first sub, and it's always later than everyone apart from the people who say like never. Basically, say. I don't know. I haven't. As good as Villa have been, I haven't watched them enough to really know like a whole bunch about them. And I feel a bit stupid for that because they've been one of the surprise packages of the season. They've been absolutely banging it. So I don't really know much about how they set up or anything. I think we've got the tools to beat them. Like you say, there's a lot of days between the last game and the match. That means our starting 11 should be fit and firing. We've got potentially Antonio on the bench to come on or starting, depending on how fit he looks. That could be a big thing for us. Even if he's on the bench, I mean, that's an impact sub Villa won't want to see. Like, imagine if you're Villa and I was gonna say he comes on in the second half, but it's David Moyes. Imagine your Villa and Antonio comes on the 85th minute. It's a scary 5 minutes. I think we've got all the tools to take it to them. It wouldn't surprise me if they come away winners. But to be honest with you, I look at it as a game and I say, as long as the performance I'm happy with, then the result is the result. They're one of the informed teams of the season. It's not the right time to face them. I think they just lost to Brighton, so they're going to want to bounce back from that and really step to a team to really go, actually, no, we are as good as we've been saying we are. But yeah, I think if you were to push me for a score prediction now without enough knowledge, I'd probably say 2-2. But
2-2.
I think 2-2. I'll just shout to
Desmond 2-2.
Exactly, a cheeky Desmond. But I do think that we do have the tools to take it to them. And I'm really hopeful that actually the goal for Haller does kick on some sort of form. Because he not only was it the goal, I think he played much better in that game as well. So if we can sort of get moving, there's something there. There's definitely something there to be got.
You do know that they beat Liverpool 7-2. They beat Arsenal 3-0, and they beat Leicester as well 1-0.
But they lost to Brighton like literally this
We
weekend.
beat Leicester.
Well, they put their easy team out against Brighton because they knew they had to play us next.
Well, you'd love to think that. Don't get me wrong; they've been brilliant. I've seen all of their highlights. I just haven't seen them enough to. I couldn't tell you, for example, what runs they make or whatever.
No, either way, they got 5 wins and we have 4, and I'm scared. That's so you know.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm shook. I'm shook to my very core. But I think David Moyes, at least for me personally, and this is coming from someone who had a falling out online with someone we all know because of David Moyes. I think I've sort of looked at it and gone, do you know what? Fair play. Like, he has at least gained some trust from me that he will at least get us to the point where we're not going to get embarrassed by them. And that's why I'm looking at him thinking there's something to be got here. If we're not getting battered, then there's definitely something to be got from this game. That's the way I'm looking at it. Even though, like you say, they have smacked some teams around. But you know, as John said, even we beat Leicester. So
yeah, John, what do you reckon? Ollie Watkins, we was looking in the summer for him. We didn't get him. Is he going to score a hat trick against us?
I think if you stop Grealish, you stop Villa. It's a one-man team. So I would, and this is going to sound quite controversial, I would start Noble and man-mark him against Grealish and just put him on Grealish. Grealish ain't that quick. He's a great player, and I hope he's fantastic for England. I hope he's fantastic in every game he plays except against West Ham. And, I would put I'd start Nobes. Nobes, that's your job. Don't move from him. And then the minute you get it off of Villa, then you've got 10 other players, and boom. And I think if Moyes does that, I can't see him doing it, and I wouldn't do it if I was David Moyes. I wouldn't change the winning side. But that's what I would do. A proper John Lyall move, and that's it. And I also think that we will win 1-0. Stop Grealish, just stop Villa. Watkins
is the one that's been scoring for him though, like a lot. I think he's the leader.
But Grealish is like the Dennis Bergkamp. Like, you know, he's superb. And
but
it's like if you take Rice out of West Ham, that's it. We're relegated.
Maybe so. Yeah.
David,
we are going to do them, and we're going to do them proper. And I'll tell you why. Somebody said earlier in the comments, Barkley's out. Without Barkley, they are a completely different team. I watched the match at the weekend that they played, and they were a totally different team without Barkley. Without Barkley, it's all down to Jack Grealish. If you shut down Jack Grealish, it's over. And I think we'll do that very, very well. We're going to murder him in the midfield. The only doubt I've got is if we take our opportunities. So I'm going to say that we're going to nick this one probably 2-0, 2-1, somewhere in there.
Does anybody here think that there's going to be any changes at all in the lineup? Does anyone start? No?
Nah.
No chance.
No chance.
There's more chance of me running a marathon than there is David Moyes making his change to that starting 11. And I'll tell you what, it's lockdown. I'm not leaving the house, let alone the ability to, which I definitely could.
But why would you? Why would you not put your best 11 out when you've got your best 11 to play?
100%.
Because you should potentially set up a team for your opponents as opposed to set up for yourself. But
why fear your opponent? George Graham never feared his opponent. Bobby Robson never feared his opponent. Alex Ferguson never feared his opponent. John Lyall never feared his opponent.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know if that's like they might have said that, but I've also said I've said many things in my life I didn't mean. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think you set up for your. I think there is a case, especially when you're a team at our level, that you do set up for your opponents more than you set up for yourself. I think it's foolish to protect. Like you talk about, for example, Ferguson or George Graham or all these other. Yeah, they were managing great teams. They can afford to not set up for their opponent because it's great. Like Alex Ferguson could set up however he wanted because he's Alex goddamn Ferguson. He's managing Manchester United. You know, I think we're West Ham United. We look at it and I think if you want to get points, the maximum amount of points, especially against a team like Villa, where I do genuinely think there is something to be got for the reasons David said, for example. You could do worse than set up. If, for example, we started Ben Rama at the weekend as opposed to Bowen or Fornals, we might have got more out of that game. Now, I'm not saying we should have, but I'm saying there's certainly an argument to be made. Now, John, I realize you're not exactly the biggest fan of him, but I think
it's not that. It's just unproven. I mean,
I don't-
Like
I
Bowen
think I-
come from Hull. I mean, like Bowen come from Hull. I'm like, all right, he did well at Hull, and Bananarama, what you would call him, is like he's done well at Brentford. This is West Ham, so I'm down with like Moyes just saying, right, okay, you need to just sort of edge yourself in here, like because all right, he set up the goal at Liverpool.
You can make that argument for anyone, though, right? If you could buy a player from who's proven at Real Madrid, and you could say, well, he's not proven in the Premier League, so he doesn't start. But that's a bit wild, you know?
Yeah, but this is Brentford, not Real Madrid, for Christ's sake. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
but-
and we were the only team that was in. If it was that good,
There were genuinely other teams in for him. There were genuinely other teams in for him. We
Crystal
were just the only
Palace.
ones who rocked up and went, here you go, have all of our money because we're desperate.
But
There's a
yeah, I
difference-
get
there's a-
that. But like, it's not as if we've signed Ronaldo or the proper Ronaldo, the fat one. Like we've signed someone from Brentford, and I can't understand the clamour for someone
So
we've signed from Brentford.
Watkins signed from Brentford, and he's the top goal scorer for Aston Villa, who beats Liverpool 7-1, 7-2. He was basically his debut, he
Correct.
got a hat trick.
If he gets the service from Grealish, so if you shut down Grealish, you shut down him.
I don't
Now,
disagree with that.
That was
either,
the worst
but
performance in Liverpool's history. It's not as if it happens every week. It was a freak result. That's why
I don't know.
everyone
Even we
remembers it.
beat them at Anfield once, and Mark Noble got sent off, and that was pretty bad performance as well. But I think there is an argument to be made that you set up for your opposition, because I think if you in the same way you said that basically you just said we should play Noble to shut down Grealish. Is that not setting up for your opponent as opposed to setting up for yourself?
One change. That's one change from a player that basically would come on.
But you just said start your starting 11. So is that not?
I personally would, if I was to change, if I was David Moyes, I would make one change. Moyes won't, because he would make he wants the first 11 out there, and that's what's going to happen. And I would say, if I'm Moyes and I'm sat at home watching it, I'm like, yeah, Moyes, put your first 11 out. If you're not going to do that, put Noble in to shut down Grealish. I think Rice is probably good enough to shut down any midfield in the country. So it's
out of interest, who would you change Noble for?
Probably Bowen.
So you change the formation as well as the 11?
No, I'd probably push Soucek to the right.
Okay.
Because then you still got an attacking, and Soucek can still come into the box late like he does. I mean, to me, Soucek does absolutely... He's like a ghost. He's like Martin Peters. All he does is ghost around the field, and it's like Martin Peters. Modern day would be David Platt, or going back 20 years, probably David Platt. But like, all he does is ghost into the box late. And so, to me, it doesn't matter where Soucek plays, because Soucek's going to do what Soucek does. He's going to appear, surprise, here I am, nod, or whatever he does, and then just break up play. So Soucek can play in that position. It doesn't matter.
I mean, this is a separate argument entirely, but I would make the argument that Soucek has been twice the defensive midfielder Declan Rice has this season, but that's an argument for a different time.
They both complement each other, but that's the only change I would make would be Noble to shut down Grealish, just a man marking thing.
I don't necessarily
Terry did Maradona in '86, and that sort of thing. Like to use, you would just say it's a sacrificial lamb to stop the supply of the ball.
Yeah. I know. I don't disagree. I do think it's very obvious that Grealish is the person to stop. I don't know if any of our players can at this point, but I do think he is the one to stop.
I forget Liam Brady in the 80 Cup final, but it stopped the flow to the front guy.
Yeah.
John Lyle, genius. That's what I would do if that was me.
We're
talking about Grealish we're talking about Grealish like he's Pele, but he's not. So you just got to shut him down. I personally think our midfield's good enough to do it anyway. But that 7-2 result against Liverpool is a freak result. So
there we go.
To answer your question, Ray, he's not making any changes, is he? Let's be real about it.
Get your first 11 out there.
He's not going to make any changes. He's not going to make any substitution. He might make one substitution, and then maybe the next one in the 90th minute, close to. I don't know. There he is. But some brilliant news, maybe or maybe not for West Ham. But fans are now allowed back in the stadium. We're allowed 2,000, is it? 2,004. 4 is it 4,000? Can't remember that. 4,000 fans in the stadium. It's going to be like a normal game, isn't it?
No
Tim, what do you
shouting, no standing up, no singing, no having fun.
If we're 3-0 down, it's normal.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, it's mostly going to be the guys with the penthouse boxes up at the top anyway, so they're not going to be near the pitch, most of them, I wouldn't imagine. Tim, you're on mute, by the way, Tim. Take 3.
All right.
Can I just
So,
say, before you
hello.
start, I love the fact that you was giving me shit for fucking up this intro. But there we go.
with the Charlie Brown tree. Yeah. Sorry. No, listen. I thought it was for like low risk areas. Isn't London a fucking high
I
risk
think if
area?
they go into tier 2, it is 2,000. If it's tier 1, it's 4,000.
Okay.
I think most of the country's going to go into tier 2, with the higher ones in tier 3, maybe by the looks of it. You know, I'm still going to be.
So even still, I mean, so is it like a lottery or something like that out of the season ticket holders, or how's that going to work? Who are they going to let in?
Yeah, and it'll be a lottery system, I would think.
That's the only way they can do it.
If you lived in the home counties or sort of just outside London, where most West Ham supporters live, you've got to travel on public transport, go on the tube, get to the stadium, and then go back again. Who in their right mind really wants to do that? I don't understand it. I mean, I live in Vegas. It's not me who's going to do it, but I think to my old journey from before I moved out to Vegas, I'd go from my apartment in Battersea. I'd be on an overground to Victoria, and then the tube all the way to Upton Park, and then you get off, and I'll go to Upton Park to the pub. I don't know if you can go to the pub in London and all the rest of it. Then, to me, it's all a massive health risk, and I don't understand why someone would do it. Just watch a game you can watch on the TV. Like,
but out of the 60,000 people, there's got to be 2,000 people that would be willing to risk it. You know, there's got to be. I mean, they're going to find the 2,000 though. I mean,
I'm one. I would do it. I would go. I don't care. I'm not that arse.
if they're in an East London postcode, walking distance, then yeah, I would think, select those people. If you've got to travel on public transport in an inside enclosed area for any kind of level, I personally think it's a crazy health risk to do it. Like,
even if you're like at the fucking Stratford Center, it's not walking distance. I mean, it's London Stadium is fucking, that's a walk, man. I mean, I actually did the walk from London Stadium to Upton Park, and man, that was crazy, dude. That was a fucking hike, but at least it was one straight shot. That was nice.
My cousin's house is behind the Queen's Head, or I don't think the Queen's Head is open in Stratford anymore. He's right behind that.
They changed. Those bastards.
Oh, really? Well, my cousin's house is still where the Queen's Head was. He's about 10 doors down, and he rents the place out, but he's still he's rented to a mate. So if he goes to West Ham, then he can go. He said to me he still wouldn't go to the game because of the health risk. Like, I don't understand it. 4,000 people in 60,000 seat stadium, you can be miserable. Like, I don't get the point of it. If it's a horse racing track, I get it.
We have 3 people at the pub and we make a lot of noise.
Yeah. So Ray, if you get the call, you gonna go?
Yeah, I'll go. I ain't got an issue. But to be fair, I've travelled to Cardiff during my lockdown. I've travelled to Manchester. I've travelled to Gran Canaria. Yeah, I'm not that arse. I've been tested in Liverpool, and I haven't had it symptoms. I've got tested again today. I've not got it, so I'm not that arse. I wear masks when I have to on a train going down there. I normally have a cup of tea so I can get away with not wearing it. So it just feels uncomfortable for me. And I haven't had it, or if I've had it, I've got over it. I've got the antibodies. So I'm not that arse at the moment. I'm on furlough anyway. So if I get it, there's nothing I could do. Just stay at home, play a bit of PlayStation, stay in bed. So for me, I've got no responsibilities. I've got no kids. I've got a job that I'm on furlough and I'm looking after.
You know of.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's to me, it's only my health risk if there is going to be a health risk. I'm not that arse. The only problem might be Tim might be a bit upset because I might not be able to do Hammer the Point one day. I don't know.
I think it raises up. It just raises up. It's the problem with it is it's exactly like Wally was asking in the chat what the tier system even is, and it's like, so for those who don't know, in the UK there's 3 tiers. You have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 3 is the most severe. Tier 1 is the least severe, and that's the like locally how bad the cases are in your area at that time, how many people, right? But because of the local level, it's similarly to how America has state laws. At this point, you have like Liverpool, for example, are trialing this thing where everyone in a city is getting tested. Is it weekly or Ray? Is that what they wanted to do? I think it was.
Oh, you can go daily. You can go as many times as you want, really.
Yeah. Whereas, like, for example, in London, we don't have that. Now, obviously, London's a much bigger place than Liverpool, whatever, but it's not even smaller places. It's just Liverpool are trialing that. So when you're talking about this thing, about this overarching rule about the Premier League, you have the different tiers, how many people are going here, there, and everything. It's just a bit mad. Like, I completely agree with John on this. Like, I personally, would I do it? No, I wouldn't. I think the health risk is insane. I personally wouldn't even if they were so desperate. And the thing is, I don't think for Premier League clubs it matters. The lower leagues, I think I do think it does matter. I think that those clubs need people back in, and I think at that case it's a lot easier because the people who support a lower league side are much more likely to be living in that local area, and so the risk of infection of spreading the public transport thing is much lower. And I think for that makes perfect sense. At a Premier League level, I do not understand for the life of me why they would even consider trying to bring this in. I think it's purely a spectacle thing. I think it's a bad idea, and I think. I don't know. I just it's too soon. It's too soon in this whole thing to even consider it, unfortunately. But
so what if it goes well? No, but on that same note, though, what if it goes well and like nobody miraculously gets or contracts it out of all the people that were allowed in those stadiums? You think they're gonna, use that and expand it, and then even risk have the risk even be higher? Or
if I'm honest, just from what I understand, I reckon they're going to give a leeway till January, and then they're going to start blocking everyone off again. Because the reason why they're doing it in December is because they know if people can't spend Christmas with each other, it's going to kick off. And it's going to kick off.
They can't spend money either in the stores. That's the thing. They're protecting the economy. Like everyone hibernates in January. That's what they don't care about. So it's a thing here in Vegas. I mean, as a working example, UNLV, our college team out here in Vegas, they played their first game at the Raiders Stadium, the new spanking $1 billion superb Death Star, we're calling it out here. There was like 5,000 people allowed in an 80,000 seat stadium. It looked ridiculous. It looked like someone's like 13-year-old party where the boys are this end and the girls are that end and the dance floor in the middle. There was nobody there. But yet they made this massive big thing. But yet we're getting like 3,000 cases a day here in Vegas now. And I'm not saying it's because of that, but there's no point. And the Raiders owner turned around and said, no one's coming into my stadium until I can pack the place up. He said it's pointless. So the Raiders have shut the place down, but the college are allowed to play there. So everyone's fighting over these like tickets for the UNLV on a Saturday afternoon. But then they've only had it once, and they said no one else again. And it's just a working example of what it would look like. You're talking an 80,000 seat stadium, 5,000 people in there, and it's just a germ factory, and it's pointless. And why you would do it, I don't know. I mean, here our governor told us we want to lock down and stay home, but yet he was at a restaurant without a mask on that following night, and everyone's kicked off out of it. But yet my kids can't go to school. You're telling me it's safe to open a casino, but not a school?
Yeah.
So, and there's so much of this shit that don't add up. I mean, I was watching Boris Johnson like earlier on, and I do feel that people are in a rock and a hard place because my parents live in a village about 40 miles south of London, the most villagey Downton Abbey white people place you could ever meet. We're from Canning Town. So if we still lived in Canning Town when there's like 100 people in the same space as where my parents live now, you're talking, everyone's on top of each other. So, I mean, I know the fan base doesn't really live in Newham anymore. So to get 4,000, if you did a 4,000 season ticket holder lottery, everyone's going to be coming from Romford, Hornchurch, Kent, Surrey, all the surrounding places, and everyone's got to use public transport. It's going to be a disaster.
I think with that, the main issue is, again, for teams like West Ham and the Premier League, it's maybe not worth it. We're not going to make any much money on it, if any. We're just going to be doing it for a showpiece for the fans, really, to get some back in the stadium. But there's going to be teams like, for instance, where I used to live, Dagenham and Redbridge, which is like 1,000, 2,000 capacity, if that capacity, where they normally get 100 people, but because people are desperate to get out and want to watch football, they might have 2,000. They might be capacity to get in, and it might benefit the smaller teams that make no money getting some extra revenue for that December period, for instance. And that's where you might find the cases, like what you said, where it might jump up higher because it doesn't matter on the stadium size. It just says you can only have 2,000 in tier 2 or 4,000 in tier 1. So they're the teams that might benefit from it. So it might save football grassroots level, maybe, because they're in need.
I think for those clubs it's vital, and it should, well, not vital, but it should definitely be something that's considered highly. I just think when it comes to Premier League football, it's baffling that it's even being spoken about in the mildest way. It's bananas. It's completely bananas because the scaling is so much different. But yeah, no, for the lower league clubs, for non-league clubs, yes, definitely. Like, and I like, if I'm the governing bodies, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, not only am I allowing them, I'm giving them funding to get staff to do like cleaning or whatever if they can't afford it because they're going through such a difficult time. That's what should be done to make it possible to keep those clubs existing, because you don't want them to go out of business, because that's devastating for a community as well. But when it comes to any top tier club, there's just no.
Yeah.
Look at it this way, right? Let's say, right, okay then, right, you live in Liverpool, Ray. Tim, you live near Boston. Dave, you live in Texas. I live in Vegas. Where do you live, Charlie?
North London.
North London. All right. So I like watching my football on the TV. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. I've got every game on, right? Now, let's say there's a track and trace of a death from COVID that literally links West Ham's game or any Premier League game. That means the league will get shut down and none of us will be able to watch the game. Why on earth would you risk A, the TV revenue, B, the advertising revenue, which is the economy, C, the alcohol that's being bought to watch the games at home and all the rest of it, and the tax that goes with it, not just here but around the world, and the gambling tax that's generated from people sat at home watching a game and everything else, just for 4,000 people to go and watch a game. It's just absolutely stupid. Stupid to generate worldwide. Well, the reason why West Ham can spend 40 million on a player is because of the worldwide TV. Why would you jeopardize that to have 4,000 that don't give a shit about their health just show up and watch a game? It's beyond me, absolute beyond me. Like,
you have got to worry about people's mental health, because being stuck in, and like I work with 30 girls and I get messages all the time that they're bored out of their head, they can't do anything. We're in the lockdown. Liverpool's full of students, and the first lockdown there was no one in the streets because we didn't have the students here. Now this is a proper lockdown again. The town's still busy. None of the shops are open. I don't know what they're doing. They're wandering the streets, but people need to get out because they need fresh air, they need different environments, they need something. They want to go see their friends. Like, I would love to go back with the boys, go see them, go have a pint with them, go watch the football, and I might actually do that. I might go down and we might just grab a game at Dagenham and Redbridge Football Club just because it's a social thing. I want to see them. I haven't seen them in so long. Don't think there's any boats down there, so I won't get to see Charlie, but hey, never mind. Next time. It's just something to do, because like we're bored out of head, and I don't want to be sitting in front of a TV all the time. There's nothing like, and this is what's going to help the grassroots football and some of it. It's nothing like an old school match where the game is not as good as the Premiership. It's not great passing, not great tackling, but you're in a stadium with no seats or very little seating. You've got dodgy burgers and hot dogs out in the back. That's what made old school football. And you're going to see some of the they might get a bit more following because of it.
I hope so.
Oh yeah, 100%. And going to lower league or non-league football as well is the best.
Oh, really?
Like, geez, it's just so cool. Like it's genuinely great. Like, and if someone was in a position where they live close to the non-league ground that's doing it, or a lower tier club that's doing it, and they're not in a position where they're highly at risk or whatever, totally 100%. Go and buy a dodgy burger. You're probably going to get food poisoning. It'll be grand. You'll love it, right? It's just when it specifically when it comes to the Premier League, it's just a no-go. But yeah, I mean, non-league club it is a great thing to do. And don't get me wrong, when I say all this, I do fully 100% like sympathize with the people in charge, and I mean that both in terms of the FA or the Premier League or even the country in general, because it's such a fine line you have to walk with all of these things. It's such a difficult thing. No one has ever been prepared for anything like this to really know what to do and how to go forward with it. I just think personally, when I look at bringing fans back to the Premier League, it's a step too far. But like with everything else, it's like it must be impossible sitting there and trying to figure out exactly what you could and can't do, what you should and shouldn't do, and especially in a situation where, like you say, Ray, people are going mad just being inside. Fortunately, I'm not, because again, I just want everyone to know I do have a PlayStation 5, so I'm fine. But for people who aren't, it's fortunate, then I do appreciate it must be a ridiculously difficult thing for those people in charge to actually.
So the problem is, it's not one man's hands. If you've got, say, so there's 5 of us on here now. One of you might not have any symptoms. Tim might have a mild cough. Charlie might sneeze, and like I'm asthmatic, and my dad's got chronic COPD. I might die. So, and Dave, he might grow hair again. You never know. So, like, there's no one size fits all for the virus. So, if you're saying 4,000 people can show up at West Ham and all the rest of it, you're guaranteeing those people's safety. I mean, what if someone comes into contact with David Gold, for God's sake? I mean. Like it could probably kill off David Gold. Poor old David Gold. No one thinks about David Gold. So everyone's been very selfish, and everyone needs to protect David Gold's health. The saviour of West Ham. How dare you all?
So here's an appeal to West Ham fans all over the world. If you can get one of those 2,000 tickets, please go and cough on David Sullivan.
Oh, Jesus.
Or have sex with Karen Brady.
And transmission.
Right. So we've been over an hour. Let's call it a night now. So
just for the record, this is my sex face.
There's my cough for you. Yeah.
5 sex tonight. That doesn't. My head. Tim, thank you very much. Long time no see. Hope you're well.
Yeah.
Charlie, John, David, thank you very much.
Enjoyed it, fellas.
Oh, yeah.
Take care. Good night, everyone. I forgot to say, Rebecca, you still owe me a name, though.